Today I'll show you what is this 16 KB page size thing for Android apps and how we can actually achieve this. Because as you can see, here is the last version of my app which did not support 16 KB page size, and now I have released a newer version which supports 16 KB page size. So even though this app is a Flutter app, but I'll explain as a whole what is this and how you can make your app 16 KB page size supported if it is currently not supporting. Okay, so first of all, what is 16 KB page size? Page size is basically the chunk size that OS uses, like Android OS uses to manage memory. So if the chunk size is 4 KB, then each time it reads the RAM this way. But now recently Android have changed this from Android 15. So Android runtime will now read 16 KB chunk. So the page size is 16 KB, and especially ARM version 6 CPU requires this. So this is going to be future proof, because now as the LLM have been resource consuming, so Android has to come up with a efficient solution. But earlier it was not a big issue. So since this is a big change, what are some impact of this? So there are different kind of libraries in Android application, and your app can be a native application, it can be a Flutter or React Native application. So if your app have some library which is actually specifying the page size in your code, like if your app is doing some video processing or doing some LLM or machine learning, then in some library it can be the page size can be specified like 4 KB, read 4 KB per chunk. So if that is the case, then your app will not support 16 KB page size, and we have to handle that. We'll dive into how to do that. So you have to be page size agnostic. So if you are a native Android developer, I mean if your app is native Android, then most of the time you will not have any issue. If you have any issue, you will have to just update the Gradle plugin to a newer version and you are good to go. But for my case, let's see what was my issue here. So last version showing does not support 16 KB page size. So in details, there are some libraries, which is Isar. Isar is a app database library which I was using. So Isar do not have the support for 16 KB page size. Means it is not chunk size agnostic. So if you have Isar even in your native Android, then you will still face this issue, because this library is this library uses native libraries of Android, and it is not compliant to 16 KB page size. So I have checked that newer version of Isar also do not support this. So eventually I had to move to a alternative. I switched to Hive. But this is just an example. Your case can be different. Okay, so let's dive into some additional thing about this. Then we'll step by step see how we can get over this issue to be compliant with Android version 15 or later. So here some of the advantage are faster startup time, a little bit lower battery use is claimed to be an advantage. So this is only may have impact on the newer version of CPUs. So one important thing is understanding the ASO file. So when you have native libraries in your app, common case in Flutter project. So if you have native library in your app, then on your production build, you will see some ASO file. So in my Android Studio, if I go to build APK analyzer and then select my production build release APK, then I'll see this here. If I extend this, here I have a lib folder and it do not have any ASO file. ASO file is nothing but a .dll file. In your Windows application, if you install a software, you see .dll file, right? So that is Windows specific binary file. Here you will see some OS specific ASO file if your library use native libraries. So for my case, this is the resolved version. It do not have any ASO file here, but in the earlier version it had something. So you can check if your app is compliant in two ways. If you have a notification at Play Console like this, then it is obvious what is the issue. You got the clue where you should put your work. But if you do not know specifically, but you want to make your app 16 KB page size compliant, then you can check this APK analyzer and check if you have any ASO file. So based on your situation, you have to approach your solution. So for me, it was Isar library, and I replaced it because Isar was not providing support for near future. Okay, now we have got the idea about ASO files and what are this. So now what are the strategies to mitigate this? First one is one thing I want to mention is when your app is 16 KB page size compliant, then it also works in 4 KB and 16 KB, right? So it is page size agnostic if the issue is resolved. But if it is dependent, like for some library like FFmpeg, in the library it specifies 4 KB chunk size, so that library have to be updated with the newer issue. Then only if you use the updated library, then your app will be compliant to 16 KB page size, because now it is agnostic. So for native, we have to update the build tool, and of course for all cases you have to use with a Android 15 or later phone or emulator. I'll also show you how you can do this. Okay, let's have a quick look now. So most of the recent emulator in Android Studio, recent means emulator of Pixel 9 Pro or later. You can also select the Android version here. So this is Android 16, and if I go to the details, you'll see that it is saying 16 KB page size. Very smaller here, but it is saying that the emulator supports 16 KB page size. So if you want to test with emulator, you can just select emulator, which is Android 16. Okay, so what are some other cases? If your app is Flutter, then you have to first identify which part is causing the issue, and you can try based on that you can try the update if your library have newer version. Like if my Isar dependency had a newer version which supports 16 KB page size, not just update the library to a newer version, but since it do not have a version yet, so I changed the database. And here's some other issues. There are some common mainstream culprit are ML plugin, maps, old maps API, payment API, camera API, which are hardware intensive, like video and audio codec related thing. So you have to reveal the application once again with updated version. And for React Native, you have to have the support. It is simpler because React Native point 7.7 includes the support. So if you update your version, all the dependency will be also updated, and you will good to go. You'll be good to go. Here some libraries fail, like Isar. In that case, you have to dive deeper. What are some possible solution? Because changing a critical dependency to an alternative one is not always a good solution, actually, even though I did it because I didn't have that much dependency. But it is a big decision if your app have dependency, and you have to carefully analyze if it is a good decision and if there are any issue, and you have to, of course, thoroughly test with all those devices. So that's it. It is a good thing actually for Android app. So I hope you got the idea how to make your app compliant to 16 KB page size. So in the future video, so you can confirm by testing on Emulator with Android version 15 or 16 and eventually uploading to Play Store. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you have learned something out of this. If you please hit the like button and subscribe for more similar tech tutorials.